And a very good Monday morning to you. Welcome to Tiger Talk here in your hometown radio station, WPKY at 8:05. Pleasure of welcoming in the studios George Kilgore, First Baptist Church. And George, good morning.
Good morning, Ty. How are you?
I'm just fine for a Monday. Got my, I don't know if it's my second or third cup of coffee going here, but I definitely do need that. But man, oh man, I've been seeing social media posts and pictures, and you're here to, well, we're going to talk about a couple things, but the main thing we're going to discuss this morning is y'all had a fantastic, y'all being the senior adult group from First Baptist Church, y'all had a wonderful trip over to the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area, didn't you?
We did, and you're talking about Facebook, social media. You know, that's one of the good things about that, that you're able to share pictures. I had so many people back home that was saying, well, we're enjoying the pictures, keep sending them, and probably some people got tired of seeing them too. But we had a really good trip. It was actually 2 weeks ago this morning that we left. We had the biggest group I've ever taken on a senior adult trip. We had 51 that went. We had 52 signed up, then one at the last minute had a family emergency, couldn't go. But we left on Monday morning, drove down to Pigeon Forge, and stayed there through Friday. Got back on Friday night, so we had a full week of activities.
And there is plenty to do in that area, and you can't. It's kind of like Disney World. You just can't see it all. You probably, though, from the pictures I saw, you squeezed in a bunch of it.
We had a lot going on, and once I got there and got into it, I realized, man, we had this packed full of stuff. Mm-hmm. But when you're there, you want to take advantage of everything that's there to see. And we've made some trips to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area before, and like you said, there's so much to do there. You can go 2 or 3 times and do something different each time. But this is for senior adults. It's a ministry that First Baptist Church has started. We started back doing our traveling trips like this in 2012, and actually was to Pigeon Forge. Okay. But since then, we've opened it up to the community. We had several community areas.
This isn't just a First Baptist Church. It's a ministry of First Baptist Church, but anybody can go.
Sure. It's a ministry of First Baptist Church. This time we had people from the Methodist Church, Presbyterian Church, Church of Christ, non-denominational, First Baptist, and several other Baptist churches that went. And what we found that through that, we may have a little difference of opinion on some doctrinal things, but all in all, the main thing is the trust in Jesus Christ.
Sure.
And, that brings us all together, and we really had a good trip with that.
Well, tell us a little bit. Let's get into some details. Some of the stuff that you all enjoyed, and everybody, like I said, I saw smiles abound on every picture that I saw, but tell us about some of the experiences you all had while you're over there.
Right. Now, anytime I travel with the senior adult group, we plan to stop at least every 2 hours because of restroom needs.
Sure.
We are traveling by charter bus on most of our trips.
And you're the driver.
And I am the driver. I get to drive on that too, and we travel by charter bus, which does have a restroom if you need to use that. Okay. But we try to stop for just everybody to be able to go to the restroom at once, and also get up and stretch. Because at that age, that is a concern. Every year, whenever people call and ask about the trip, they say, well, how often are you going to be stopping? So we stop at least every couple of hours, so we try to figure that in. We left here a little before 7 that morning. One thing about senior adults, they're on time.
Did you get through Nashville, or did you get on the other side before you stopped?
We stopped in Nashville.
You stopped in, okay.
We have a stop there out by
about 2 hours.
Yeah, out by Opryland. The McDonald's out there is a good place to stop for breakfast, and it gives us about an hour and 45 minutes to get there. And we wanted to plan it that day. That night we had the Hatfield and McCoy dinner theater. Okay. And it's a buffet, eat all you want of good food.
Oh, yeah.
And so we did
get to kind of watch the story, don't
yes.
you? Yes. Yeah.
So we didn't want to eat a big meal at lunch. So we had to stop for breakfast, did that, then drove another couple hours about halfway between there and Pigeon Forge, and stopped again for a restroom, stopped and got some fuel and just snacks if anybody wanted it, and got to the hotel and checked in. We stay at the Spirit of the Smokies condo there in Pigeon Forge. They've been really good to us as a group.
Right. And you stay there pretty much, you book most of your, when you go over that way, you book there, don't you?
And they have really been good about taking care of us as a group. One thing I mentioned before, they have an indoor swimming pool, and you'd think with senior adults that's not a draw. It is. It is. One of the first trips I went on, I got asked that question: can we is there a swimming pool, indoor
Bring
pool?
their swimming trunks.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, they're nice to us.
That's
They
good
take
stuff.
care of us. And so we got there and got checked in, had about an hour time to get our luggage put up and get changed. We went to the Hatfield and McCoy's. Right. And it was it's always a good show. And like I said, it's got a really good buffet meal to it. They come out and welcome you to the place. Yeah. And he said, and actually the second time this guy's done that, the same one, I don't know if you remember this from before, he said, Princeton, Kentucky, I met my wife there. She is from Princeton, Kentucky.
You're kidding.
Yeah. He said, y'all know my mother-in-law, Miss Engler? He said, yeah. And so he met his wife here. He got to talking about living in Princeton. So
y'all were stars right there immediately.
First thing off, met somebody. It's one of those things that wherever you go, somebody's going to know you.
That's true. You
can't
get away from Princeton, can you?
We got there, and he got to telling us, and told a story about going up a one-way street the wrong way. I said, well, Princeton has some of those around here, but welcomed us in, so we went in, and it was a good show. They have added what they call a concrete pond, I guess, or something like that. They've added a swimming pool to their show since the last time we've seen it, and they just do all kinds of tricks with that pool during the Hatfield McCoy show, and they have dogs trained that they use in that also. So it was a little bit different, but it was a good night.
Well, it's good to change it up and keep it, because sometimes you might see it multiple times,
right,
when you go. But if it's a little different the next time you go, then
yeah. But Hatfield McCoy, it's a good show. So went back to the hotel. Now, one thing we do every day while we're on our trips, we have a devotional time.
I was going to ask you about that.
And we started that first night. And you're talking about devotionals. Everybody's pretty tired time you've traveled all day, but our devotions, every night they went at least an hour long. Wow. And it might be because I'm long-winded, I don't know.
So you led them.
I lead the devotions, but it's not a just sit and listen. It's an interactive. We talk about things. Yes, we talk about things. The first night we kind of just introduced ourselves because we had people there that some of us didn't know. There was people that got on that bus there that morning that I had never met before, face to face. But I had talked to them. Yes, and they had called and we discussed the trip. But we kind of introduced ourselves, and then we. Each night we just do something different, but it all centers around bragging on God and just sharing our thoughts, our prayer concerns, and just to kind of come together as a group. So we had our devotion that night, got a good night rest.
I imagine everybody hit the bunk and just was out. Probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday. We spent the day in Dollywood.
Right.
And somebody asked me, said, you took the senior adults to Dollywood? Oh, yes. We took the senior adults to Dollywood. We was a little concerned because it was calling for rain that day. Right. But it kind of sprinkled on us at first. But we talked about the devotion the night before about, maybe trying to switch things around. And the general thought was, we're not going to melt. We've got umbrellas. We'll dry.
Just go right through it.
We want to go. Yeah. And so we went to Dollywood, and if you've been to Dollywood before, everywhere's uphill.
Yeah, I've never been.
You've never been. No. Everywhere you go, you walk uphill.
Okay.
I don't know how you get back to the bottom, but you always walk uphill. And someone was concerned about that. In years past, we've had some of our group that rented the electric wheelchairs there. But this time, nobody did that. And here was my statement. You're there. A lot of the shows are up close to the front. You don't have to see it all. Right. See what you feel like taking in. So some of them walked around.
So once you got in there, you were kind of free to do your own thing.
Yes. We was going to meet back at 4 o'clock. So you was on your own to do whatever. And Benji and I walked around. We made some pictures of the group. A lot of sitting around looking, people watching. But there were several shows
That's
there.
That's always fun, too.
Oh, it's kind of like Opryland was with the country shows and all. And they did that. I don't know if anybody rode many rides. Now, we did ride some of the water rides.
Okay.
Got kind of wet on that. Okay. But had a good time with that. So we spent the day in Dollywood. And then left there and went directly to the Stampede.
Oh, the
Dolly
Stampede.
Okay. Yes. Story behind that. Won't get into that, but it is no longer the Dixie Stampede.
Dolly's.
It's Dolly's Stampede now. Same show.
Yeah.
Very same show, but it's a different name. And, of course, if you've ever been there, it's a really good meal with that. Right. No utensils.
And that's what no utensils.
No, you eat with your hands.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like fried chicken and stuff you can
Well,
pick
there's
up?
a hen. A hen they have fixed up, and you just pull it apart and eat it. Then I think there's a pork strip and potato wedge and different things, but no utensils.
That's what's fun about traveling. It's about the eating a lot of times, isn't it?
Yes. And so
that's what it is for me anyway.
excuse me, the show was the same as it's always been.
Right.
The names changed,
Right.
but they have a pre-show where you go in and kind of listen to some music and different things. So that was our day on Tuesday, then our devotion on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, I give them half the day free.
Okay.
Just
They
to
do what they want to do.
Just do what you want to do. Some of them wanted to stay at the hotel and rest, which was my thought during that time. But this age group likes to shop a lot too.
Right.
So
There's
the
places
island
to spend money.
Yeah.
isn't there?
So I took the bus and took the groups that wanted to go down shopping to the island. And that area there, and they shopped, and some of them eat at Paula Dean's, and some of them did this and that, and just shopped and had a good time. And I picked them up at 2:00, and we come back and headed to the Smoky Opry.
All right.
I've never been to that before. It was a first for me. It's right there by the Hatfield and McCoy, and it was an awesome show.
Y'all had a good time there.
It had everything from country music to gospel music to acrobats to patriotic. It was just
good.
great. It was a little over a 2-hour show. No meal with this one.
Yeah.
But it was a really good show. So I'd recommend that to anybody that is going to the Pigeon Forge area, that Smoky Opera. It was really good. All the shows we seen was, but some of the people thought maybe that was all in all the best one.
Really? Well, that's
That we
something.
went to.
That's good. That's your first trip there.
Yes, first time there, and definitely when I go back, we'll
It
be
might be
going
something
to
you'll
that.
book again, yeah.
Right, exactly. After that, we left and went to CC's Pizza.
Oh,
For the pizza buffet that night because
There
we
we
had another show that night, so we needed to get somewhere where we could get in and out.
you had another show.
Yes, on
Wow.
Wednesday night.
Man, yeah, y'all packing it in now.
And senior adults like pizza too.
Oh, yeah.
So we loaded up on pizza. Then we went to the Comedy Barn that
right.
night. And the Comedy Barn, we had some people that was really excited about seeing that. One of your fellow compadres,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Twyman Bourne, was with us.
He likes to laugh.
He does, and he kept talking about the Comedy Barn. He was looking forward to that. So it was a good night there. And, they pull people up on the stage to put you in it. We had 4 of our group that got involved in the act. And I was unfortunate enough to be one of those. I was pointing at Benji sitting beside me, because they
didn't choose
They
the
did. He
youngster,
said,
did they?
"Hey, you, the man that's pointing at the one beside him." So everybody kind of got a kick out of that. But the Comedy Barn's good, clean fun.
Good family fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that offensive there. There's nothing that people could criticize. Nothing out of the way, off color at all. But just a good fun night there at the Comedy Barn. On Thursday, we got up, went to a early lunch. We was going over into Gatlinburg on Thursday, and I talked to one of the restaurants down there, and they opened up early for us just to let us in, because you have a group of 50 trying to get in. Sometimes it's hard to get seated.
But they appreciated a group of 50,
Yes.
though. I mean,
And we wanted to do a sit-down meal where we could just go in and sit down and order. So we had an early lunch that day at 10:30.
wow.
And went over into Gatlinburg, and we went through the Christ of the Smokies Wax Museum and Gardens.
Okay.
If you've never been there, and I know our group goes there a lot for the very reason it's a Christian organization and a Christian activity,
Right.
and it's a church group, and as Christians, I just think it's important to support that.
Sure.
And it's a walk-through demonstration, wax objects, item, people there that
Biblical figures.
Yes. There you go. Thank you.
That's right.
That starts out from the creation all the way through the resurrection, and you walk through there. It takes about 30, 45 minutes to get through it,
Okay.
and it's really an awesome experience.
That's
We had
neat.
to break up into 3 different groups to go through it. It's a good experience, and when you come out, they've got a garden out there that has the face of Jesus that as you walk, the eyes follow you.
Wow.
It's as big as this building here, and you go from one end to the other, and wherever you go, the eyes of Jesus just follows you
Wow.
around backwards and forth. It's a good experience there, and then they have a really good Christian bookstore there too. So as people got finished with that, they was free in Gatlinburg just to walk, shop, look around, and spent about 3 hours there in Gatlinburg.
Okay.
Then come back, went to Dolly Parton's Adventure Show. Used to be with the Lumberjack Theater.
Okay.
And when she bought it, of course, she renamed it Adventure.
Dolly's acquiring stuff.
She
over there,
is.
Isn't she? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
She is, and it was a really, really nice show. I've never been to it before. I'm choking up, Tom.
It's okay.
It a lot of acrobatics and comedy and some of the things.
Is this in Gatlinburg?
Yes,
Okay.
it was in Pigeon Forge.
Oh, it is. But you're back in Pigeon Forge.
You were
Okay.
back in Pigeon Forge.
Okay.
And some of the things they did, you're just on your seat and going, "Oh no!" You're thinking, this is kind of tricky.
Yeah.
What they're doing, and
They
they
pulled it off.
Oh yes, and there's a meal with it.
Oh, wow.
They feed you while you're watching the show, so that's.
Well, you gotta love the South when you do stuff in the South. You
Yeah.
know, you get entertained and eat.
and we had a lot of chicken that week. Everybody was laughing about it. Chicken.
Chicken.
We had a lot of chicken.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a bird.
Yeah, not at all. And then we went back to our devotion time Thursday night. Friday morning we got up and went to Tanger Outlet Mall.
Okay.
And shopping, shop, and pick up stuff there. Then when we left, we stopped at the Russell Stover Chocolate Outlet.
Oh yeah.
Got our sweets zoned there.
Right.
And
For the trip home.
Oh,
Gotta get
yeah.
Fired up, right?
Yeah.
Did y'all leave that Friday?
we left that Friday
Okay.
morning, started
Okay.
back home, and then we stopped about halfway between the candy store and home and had supper at Chick-fil-A.
There you go.
And they said, "Oh, no, chicken again?" They said, "Oh, yeah, here we're doing chicken."
Everybody was squawking like a chicken by the time they got home.
Exactly. And then we stopped at the rest area, not a rest area, a restroom break at Clarksville, and got in about 8:30 that night.
Not
So
bad.
we had a really, really good trip, but it was.
It sounds like a really
it was
good trip.
full of activities.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't sound like y'all got much rest at all, did you?
It wasn't, but it was good. And time when I was even looking at my list this morning, you say senior adults, probably half of this group was 75 to upper 80s.
Oh wow,
So we're talking about senior adults.
definitely.
I know you and I are getting close to, well, I've already busted that barrier.
I'm in the fives.
But, we say our senior adult group starts at 55 and up, but about
Not
close
quite there.
close to half of this group was mid-70s to upper 80s.
That's fantastic.
And it's amazing. And
At 51, you said on the trip.
yes, 51.
51.
51 went on the trip. And what I've found is senior adults are just people like everybody else. They like to have a good time. And, we laugh together. During our devotion times, we cried together some, just
Sure.
sharing concerns. Because
Sure.
at that age, you have a lot of people that have lost spouses, have children that are having issues. And it's a good support group just to get together and share that kind of thing.
No doubt about it. That's
But it was a good week. We had a good time.
and you bond too.
Yes.
That's what's kind of fun about those trips. You might not know somebody very well. You break bread with people. You fellowship with people.
Yes.
And next thing you know, you're fast friends.
Oh, yeah.
You
And
know,
we had
that's what's great about those trips.
We had 3 ladies join us from Providence this year
Okay.
that had heard about our trips, and they was like, "We want to go again." They said, "We've been on some bus trips before, but there was people at the end of those trips we didn't even know." So this is so good, the Christian fellowship and all with it. So it's it's a good bonding experience. We've had people that have gone with us in the past that can't make every trip, but the general discussion is, well, I run into so-and-so at shopping the other day or out eating. And, we just talked about our trips together. So it is a time to make friends, to just to get out and go. A lot of people that go with us might not be able to travel on their own and to drive through Nashville or make that type of trip.
or Knoxville and wind through those. Yes.
Right, or feel comfortable going out at night by themselves, even if they got there, going out by themselves at night. So, we take them up to the door, let them off, and bring them back out. I'll have to brag on my son Benji a little bit.
He helps out big time, I know.
He really does. He's got a heart for the ministry there. He went with me on my first one, and after that, he said, "Dad, I enjoy this." And he was like 14 then,
Yeah, he
13,
was-
14,
yeah.
and he still loves
Still
going. But he helps with the luggage, getting it in and out, helps getting people on and off the bus. So we just we try to
fantastic.
take care of each other.
Right. What's next for your group? I know everybody's kind of resting up now, but do you have something planned down the road?
We do. Maybe not a big trip like
Right.
that again. That's usually our biggest one of the year. Coming up, we're going to support a local activity here on July the 3rd. We are going to go to the Fredonia fireworks display
Okay.
at the park in Fredonia. I went down there last year, Ty, and that was an awesome.
Yes, I heard it was.
It was an awesome display, and Good thing about it, I can take the church bus. We can drive up there to the ball field
and
or
you
close
can be there
by.
in about 20 minutes.
Yes, and but it was as good as any other display I've been to. And,
That's great.
And I know Fredonia First Baptist kind of coordinates that with the businesses down there. So again, you support your local Christian activities, and so we're going to do that. I'm still working on the details because we like to eat everywhere we go.
Of course.
So we're going to have to find us. I'm going to have to get some.
There's a few places down there you can eat. They're pretty good.
Yeah,
So.
Going to try to get that worked out, but I'm still working on it. I announced it at church yesterday, but so anybody wants to go with us, all of our activities are open to anybody that wants to go. And then on July the 5th, we've got 2 activities in 1 week.
Right there.
The Hoppers are going to be in concert at Paducah. Okay. And, we had the McCameys here in town, the Optimist Club did before, and we looked at trying to maybe have the Hoppers in, and that's never worked out. But they're going to be in Paducah that night, so we're going to go down and see
the Hoppers.
We're going to go see the Hoppers. The way that works, it's on a love offering basis, but you have to have tickets to get in. They're expecting it to be an overflow crowd.
Where will that take place?
It's at Fountain Avenue Methodist Church.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where that's at, but we'll find it.
I've heard about it. I've heard of it.
And so with both of our church buses, I can take 48 people.
Okay.
And so I called the other day, and I have 48 tickets reserved.
Wow.
So if anybody's interested in going,
fill it up.
Go with us. The only thing, I've got to let them know by June the 26th how many of those I need.
You got to have a head count.
Right. So we are taking sign-ups by contacting me or the church, either one.
And how would they do that? Just go ahead and throw it out there.
Yeah, they can call me at 625-3427 or the church at 365-5591 and get your name on the list. Now, what we do, you'll have the ticket to get in, then you'll give your love offering, whatever you feel comfortable doing when you're there. We're going to leave the church parking lot at 3:45 there on that Thursday. Go to Paducah and eat. Of course, before we go.
I need to start hanging out with you guys.
I tell you, we stopped at the Traders Mall Cafe.
Oh yeah,
Richard
Egan Gray.
Yeah, that local people.
I still have an Optimist coupon for that.
They are the managers there,
yes.
and they have a buffet on Thursday night that is a country buffet.
I hear it's fine.
Oh, we went to a comedy show a month or so ago and stopped there, and so many of we took 44 that night, wow. And so many of our group had never been there, but they said, man, this is great, we're going to go back.
Yeah.
So
they've got a big barn there, big dance hall type
yes,
barn,
all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But the buffet, it's real reasonable, and so we're going to stop and eat there. Again, it's right on the way. We can get our group in and get seated in a hurry and eat all we want and then go on to the show. So, but sign-ups for that's going on now. I have to know by June the 26th on the Hoppers. The concert is July the 5th, Thursday night. So that's kind of what we got going. I'm looking at doing a trip to the Badgett Theater in Grand Rivers.
Yeah.
Probably their Southern Gospel show sometime in July. I still got to get that worked out. We have in the past taken trips to the State Fair. Don't know if we'll do that this year or not, but we try to do different things, at least something every month. Some of them may be just like going to the fireworks show.
Yeah, a short trip, so to speak.
Right.
Just, yeah.
And then our Christmas show, our Christmas time, we usually do a weekend trip there, but depending on when I can get the best rates, we work it out and go somewhere for Christmas. So again, with senior adults, at that time of year is kind of hard sometimes.
Sure.
I have lost spouses and all, so it's a time just to get together and
maybe get your mind off things.
Yes,
maybe
and do some Christmas things together.
Yeah.
And so then, we'll have some other activities. I got a couple other ideas bouncing around, but I don't want to say until we get it going. But it's a good ministry of our church, and may talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes too.
Sure. Let's take a break.
Okay.
We've had a lot of good stuff to talk about. And we'll take a short break. We'll come back, and we'll talk more. We have George Kilgore in studio this morning. We're talking about the First Baptist Church Senior Adult Ministry, and among other things, recent trip to the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area and some upcoming trips. And we want you to be a part of that if you something that interests you, and we'll have more information about that here coming up. We're going to take a short break on Tiger Talk. We're about halfway through at 8:29. And we're glad you're joining us today on Tiger Talk. We'll be back in just a moment on Tiger Talk on WPKY The Tiger. Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz is the place to shop for delicious homemade goodness. Hancock's makes their own fresh chicken salad, pimento cheese, salads, and a variety of mouth-watering desserts sure to please your entire family. While at Hancock's, be sure to visit their meat department for the best selection of USDA choice meats in the area. Hancock's Neighborhood Market in Katie's, hometown, homemade goodness, and the Hancock name you know and trust for quality for your family. Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Katie's.
Since 1978, Perry's Floors and More has been selling, installing, and servicing homeowners throughout Western Kentucky with quality flooring and workmanship. Perry's Floors and More carries luxury vinyl plank and luxury vinyl tile, carpet, window treatments, and more. Quality brands like Mannington, Shaw, Tarkett, Beaulieu, and Flexitech. There's a reason why we say you can walk on our reputation. Come see Bill and Lucy at 127 West Market Street or call 270-365-9869.
And we are back on Tiger Talk at 8:31. George Kilgore in studio. We're talking about the First Baptist Church senior adult ministry. And George, we talked about all these events that you all have done here recently. Of course, this past trip you all just got back from.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the origins of this ministry and how it got started.
Okay, be glad to. Our church, as well as most churches, have activities for their senior adults. But a lot of times, unless they have a staff person that's in charge of it, the people that work with the senior adults, they might not have time to go trips and go places because of their full-time employment and they do a good job with it with what's available for them. Back in 2012, we was at church one day and we had one of our ladies that had a death in the family, and a lot of the senior ladies wanted to go to the funeral home for the visitation and the funeral, and they approached me and said, "We'd all like to go, but we really don't want to drive out of town. Would you take us in the church bus?" I said, "Sure, I'm available." And so we went to the visitation and the funeral that day, and they had a good time talking and visiting. And after it was over with, we started back home, and one of them said, "I'd kind of like to go eat somewhere. What about the rest of you?" And they said, "George, are you all right with that?" I said, "Sure, I'm up to eating anytime."
Oh, yeah.
And they said, "We like Cracker Barrel pretty good." And I said, "That's fine
works
with
for
me."
you. Yeah.
So we went to the Cracker Barrel, sitting there and eating, and just the conversation amongst the ladies. This has been nice. We ought to do this more often. And they said, "George, would you be interested in taking us and doing some things like that?" I said, "If it's involved eating, yeah, be
Count me
glad
in,
to."
yeah.
And so we started doing that, just going out and eating occasionally with whoever wanted to, just the church members, and it went well. Had good response to that. And then I remember one day at church, a lady came up and said, "Had you ever thought about going somewhere overnight with us?" And I said, "Well, no, I really hadn't."
Yeah.
But they said, "We'd kind of like to do that." Me and my husband used to go out of town a lot just to do things and just to shop, if nothing else. But I haven't been able to do that. So I said, "Well, sure, we'll try to come up
Put
with
something together.
Put something together." And I said, "Where do you want to go?" And one of them said, "I like the Smoky Mountains, pretty good." And I said, "Oh, okay." And so we got to talking about it, and that was in 2012, and we put together a trip to go to Pigeon Forge. I think that year we maybe had 15 or 16 to go,
Okay.
mainly from our church membership, and went, and it was just a really good experience.
Sure.
And we started our devotion times during that, and
Yeah.
just got together, and we started talking about things they'd like to do, as well as devotional times. And one thing I found with senior adult women, Ty, that when they grew up in church, most of them was told to be quiet.
Yeah.
That they didn't, and they was kind of hesitant at first because they said, "This is something new for us." Our husband spoke. If we had something to talk about, we told them, and they would do it. So that kind of started our devotion time. And throughout that and the upcoming devotions after that, some of them got to even sharing their salvation experiences.
Okay.
And that was really a neat time.
Yeah.
Because we was talking about it on our trip this year that a lot of the original group that went are no longer with us.
Right.
That they have either passed on already, God's called them home, or they're physically not able to go. And I've had the experience and the privilege of being at a funeral home with some of these people's family that went with us and share with them. I want to tell you what your mom shared with us about how she accepted Christ and how that she knew that whenever she did go, where she was going.
Yeah.
And so that was a blessing in that. And I can't dwell there long, or I won't be able to talk and say anything. But that was our first trip to the Pigeon Forge area, and they said, "Man, we like this," and they got to talking about to some other people in the church, and it picked up. And the second year, we went to Branson, and spent a few days out there, and had a good time. About that time, we
let me stop you. Which is easier trip, the trip to Pigeon Forge or the trip to Branson?
They're both easy.
Yeah,
there's so much to
all
do.
interstate.
Yeah, they're not a whole lot of difference in the time. Maybe 45 minutes longer going to Branson.
Right.
You do have some of those.
That's a long old stretch of interstate, though, when you head
Yes.
you head to St. Louis and head down that way. Man.
See, I go across country.
Okay.
I go through Sykeston.
You go through Sykeston. Okay.
Way.
That's probably a little bit more scenic than
it
heading
is.
up St. Louis and hitting that interstate.
But
down that way.
it takes a little bit longer because you have the speed zones and the stop signs, but it's more scenic and you see some different things.
I love traveling through the smaller towns. When I travel,
Yes.
I like to drive. I don't fly anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love to get in a car or whatever and just drive. And I just love it. And I love to
Right.
stop in all the little towns and eat the little diners and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's neat that you say that because it's just more fun to do it that
Oh,
way,
it
I
is.
think.
And then the third year, someone said, "We'd like to go to Florida." I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah." And so I'd heard about the Holy Land experience down
yeah.
there. The Holy Land,
Yeah,
it's a Christian thing.
Outside Orlando there, isn't
yes.
it? Yeah.
And so
I forgot you all went on
yes.
that trip.
And
yeah.
so we said, we'll go to Florida. And about that time, we acquired a new pastor at our church, Russ Davison. And Russ started preaching and teaching.
Brother Russ, how are you? I
Russ.
hope you're out there listening.
Yeah, and he started preaching and teaching. Anything we do as a church is not about First Baptist. It's about God. It's about serving God. It's about reaching out to anybody and everybody in the community. And so he said, I want everything that this church does not to be a First Baptist thing. So we took that to heart and opened up our trip to anybody in the community that wanted to go. And that's how it started being a more of a community-oriented, community-open trip.
And you've become a travel agent, basically.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it's expanded that way. We went, we was talking about the swimming pool earlier. They said, "Can we go to the ocean one day?" I said, "Okay." And we got to the ocean, and out in the ocean, a bunch of them went and had a good time. Not everybody. Some of them stayed up and just watched. But there's various needs, and that's the good thing about traveling as a group. You do a little of this for this person, a little of that for that one. But over the years, we've done several different things. Our groups have grown. Like I said, we're up to 51 this year, and serving God and being a church should be ministry oriented to proclaim Jesus Christ and do like he did, just meet people where they're at, attend to their needs. And this, we have found out, has been a need of some of our senior adults, just to be able to in fellowship and be able to bond and come together. So that's kind of how it started, as a small thing. Just, yeah, we can do that. And who knows what God has in store.
And it's expanded.
It has.
Yeah.
And we've had people, like I said, we had some people from Providence, I had a lady from Calvert City, and it's where some of our local people, our church members, our local people have heard about it and have talked to a friend about it.
Yeah.
We had a couple of ladies from California went with us one year.
Wow.
They flew in from California to go on a First Baptist trip. So
That's pretty neat.
now they had a sister that was going and a
Okay,
friend.
so they just went with
Just
them.
come in and went with them. And again, the networking and the friendships that you make and grow through that is just it's amazing.
Do you all have a charter bus? You have to rent
We
that?
do not. We have to charter. The
Okay,
company
you gotta
that
charter
the
okay.
company that I drive for part time, we use the
Okay.
charter with them.
Okay, so you actually drive part time for a
Yes.
company. Okay.
Yeah, I drive part time for a charter bus
Okay.
company, and that's where a lot of the ideas I got come from, because I started back 5 or 6 years ago driving part time for this company, and they're strictly a charter and groups charter and go different places. So that's also helped me out by being able to see some things.
Sure.
When I'm there, I'll be thinking this would be a good thing for a senior adult
Yes.
group to go. There's so many things out there that we could do, but in planning a trip for this group, I really have to pay attention and think about what we're physically able to do.
Sure.
There's someone that talked about going to South Carolina and Charleston and different things like that. We have to find things to do and places to go where we can go to shows, where we can sit, where there's not a lot of walking. Because even at my age, whenever and older,
I hear you, man.
you can't go somewhere where you're going to be hiking or doing a lot of walking.
I'm shifting right now because my back. I stand here all morning. I like it, but I've got some issues. And I mean,
Right.
having dinner, shifting, and Yeah, I understand that.
But our trip, it is a lot of traveling. You talk about being a travel agent. You know, some people would look at that, but at the same time, it's a ministry. It's a ministry to the people in our community.
No doubt about it. Sounds like it.
And that's what the church should be about, ministering to others. And whether it's our church or neighboring churches or different denominations, it's all about ministering to people, reaching out. Our children's choirs at church, they have kids from all over the community. Right. We hope all of our programs are going to be like that. So don't think, well, I don't go to First Baptist, so I can't do that. Because it's open to to anyone. And, well, I don't have a traveling partner. We've had, it's kind of neat, too. We've had some people that call up a person and said, I don't have anybody to go with me. Do you have anybody you can pair me with? And that's always worked out. God's taken care of that. Yeah. And some really close friendships. When they go again, we want a room together. We become friends.
Right.
And so don't think I don't have anybody to travel with or I'm not physically able. The only requirement is we do have to be able to get it on and off the bus. Yeah. To get on and off the bus, and for someone to have to be mentally and physically able to be on their own. Right. We can't individually stay with one person during the trip. But we've had times in the past where we've had some older people that might need assistance. They took a family member with them, and that's perfectly all right.
Right.
You know, even if they're not a senior adult, they're traveling with someone who's
can
a
care for their
adult.
needs. And
yes, and that's perfectly all right too. So, if you have a question about any of that, contact me. I don't know what all we're going to be doing in the future. As I said, as our group evolves and different people come into it, we may do some things we've done in the past, but it's new and different, and it's going to Pigeon Forge. There's so many things to do. You can go there 2 or 3 times and do different things each time.
Exactly.
But it's been a good blessing for those of us who's been a part of it. Again, for Benji, my son, I just can't thank him enough. He keeps telling me when he gets old enough to get his CDL that he's going to
start driving.
He said they won't need you anymore. No, he made
you can just sit back and let him drive, and you can go on the trip. So.
He made the statement this last one. He said, "Dad, if we keep getting more people, we might need 2 buses even." So
I'm telling you, is this the largest group?
It is.
And
Ty, let me explain how we do it on this. Whenever I plan for a trip, I figure out what it's going to cost.
Right.
And that is the cost. That's the only cost to it. The church doesn't make anything on it.
Right.
We do it as a ministry. Like this last one, I figured out how many nights was going to be at the hotel, what that was going to cost, the shows we was going to, and you shop around, you can get some bargains.
And you make it an all-inclusive thing, don't you?
Yes.
They pay one price and they're done.
Except for the meals.
Except for the meals.
Meals are on their own because that's such a varied thing. I can't plan that in. Yeah. And that's what it costs, and that's what we charge the people to go, just to what the cost is going to be for our church. Now, our church members, they do get a little discount in there, and let me explain how that does. Our church has a budget for our senior adults, and
so you've got money allocated.
I've got money allocated for our church members, senior adults. So when you see it advertised, you may see guest price and church member price. It's costing everybody the same, but the church is picking up, First Baptist is picking up a certain amount of that fee or that cost for each church member that are 55 members.
Because you budget for it.
Yeah, or 55 years of age and older. If anyone in our church or in the community is under 55, they would pay the same rate. Even our church members that's under 55, they would pay the full amount that the guests pay because we pull out of our church budget for our senior adults. And our church has been very gracious. They have embellish that and give us a good budget to work with.
That's great.
And it helps our senior adults be able to do that.
Sure.
And there's other churches that may want to do things. I'd be glad to help any group. Yeah. There's another church out there that would like to take a trip or do something. There goes my son there. He's not. He's looking the other way. Yeah. But if there's any other church out there that would like to put together a trip, I'd be glad to help you with that. Share information with you. It's a great ministry that any church could pick up on, and I'd be willing to help any group because, like we said, it's a ministry. It's about serving God. It's not about. Right. It's not about a First Baptist thing.
Well, when you have access to social media and you see the smiles and the good time and the comments, that's a big deal. And everybody that I saw a few of those pictures from that trip, and everybody was just smiling, having a great time, and it's about the fellowship and the ministry aspect of it. And like I said, it's a bonding experience for everybody to go on there. You might be a stranger when you start,
Sure.
but at the end, everybody's friends.
Oh,
So
exactly.
It's good stuff.
Talking about our church, First Baptist Church of Princeton, Kentucky, there's a Facebook group on there.
Yeah, go ahead.
That, if you want to get on that, because I post everything we're going to do. It's in our messenger there, bulletin at the church, and also I put it on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Now, the church has an actual Facebook page, but there's a group, First Baptist Church of Princeton, Kentucky Facebook group. And, if you'd like to be a part of that, we'd be glad for you to join that. And that way you see what's coming up. And, if you go on one of our trips, you don't have to go on all of them.
Right.
It's kind of a buffet. You take what you want of it.
Take what you want.
But here's the thing, and a statement I made to the group this year: our trips, unless you have somebody to take them, they're not going to accomplish anything. So it's important we have people to become a part of it. So we always want to encourage people to do that. If you have any questions, contact me, contact the church, and we'll be glad to answer it and keep you up on what's going on.
That's awesome. Well, looked like a fantastic trip. And again, contact George or the church if you have any questions about this and how you might can get involved if you'd like to do that.
Yes.
Let's shift gears. And
Sure.
you got some other things coming up. I know you're a member of the Princeton Optimist Club, and there might be some things that are going on that the Optimist Club has come up. Of course, it's it's not too early to start talking Black Patch, is it?
Exactly. And in fact, we've got our applications out for the Black Patch Festival. It's Saturday, September the 8th. It's always the Saturday after Labor Day. We've had our applications. We've tried to mail out applications to everybody that was here last year. Of course, sometimes we miss some people. We've got some of them returned back that we didn't have correct addresses on. So the applications have been mailed out. In fact, last night I got a message that said, "Can you mail me an application from a business in Madisonville, actually?"
Okay.
And so we're mailing them out. We can email the applications out. You can go to our Facebook page, Black Patch Heritage Festival, and request one. There's several of us that monitor that regularly and can answer your questions. I can be glad to email you an application or
This is for booth space.
For booth space, yes, on the festival that day. We've got several things going. The gospel singing that we've had for several years now, Wesley's in charge of. We had the Justin Reynolds Band last year. We've booked them, and
That's
not
good.
sure
they were a big hit.
Yes. Not sure exactly how that's going to be set up, but we have them booked for that night, and we have our regular booths. We have a yard sale area, farmers market for homegrown homemade items.
Well, I can tell you, it just seems like last year got a lot of positive comments about how Black Patch was structured. Of course,
Right.
it had changed a little bit, but a lot of
Yes.
that was due to electrical service areas had to be moved
we had
around.
to redo that.
And that maybe upset a few folks, but once they saw it, it got
Yes.
adjusted to it. I think it worked out well. But
And here's the thing: anytime you do any activity, you learn as you go.
exactly,
There were some things that we did last year.
we've been
some
learning
change-
for a long time. Dude.
some changes we made last year that was good. It was good for the
It was.
festival, and a lot of good comments. There's some changes we made last year we're going to relook at.
Yeah.
Like I used to hear, we're going to lick that calf over again and
go.
check it out, maybe make some adjustments to that. But we're open to suggestions. Any groups that would like to put together an activity. I've talked to a lady who said that she would put together a 5K run for us this year.
Okay, well, good.
So we're looking at that. I know some of our other members have looked at some other activities to add, plus anything we've had in the past. Our beauty contest, the beauty pageants. We're still looking for sponsors for some of them.
They didn't go down last year, did they? Or
Some of them was
some
kind
of
of
'em,
last
yeah,
minute,
yeah.
and really
I
for
couldn't really
that,
remember.
for that you really need to work on it a little while ahead of
Yes,
time.
you do.
And we appreciate the people that stepped up last minute last
Yes.
year to do. And but they said, hey, you need some help. We're going to try to do it. But
Right.
the longer people put into it, preparing for it, the better it would be. But Black Patch is coming up. It'll be here, less than 3 months. It's less than 3 months away. So if you need an application, contact us, and we're going to be working on that. We're just a lot of things going on.
There really are, and I always look forward to that festival. It's a great festival. It's been going on, as what I meant, a second ago, is it's been going on a long time.
Long time.
And but there is always something to learn from it. There's always something to make it better, to improve upon it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of good comments and a lot of good effort last year. I think with the new, structured a little different.
Right.
But looking forward to it this
Got
year.
a lot
as
of
well.
the entertainment rides already
Yes.
booked up to come back this year.
Good deal.
This person who contacted me last night is a new vendor. We've got
Okay.
some new vendors coming in. We've already got some of our local people that have turned in applications. And so and that's usually our local people maybe a little bit behind the traveling people
Right.
that do it all the time. So go ahead and be thinking about
Yes.
what you would
What
like
you want
to have,
to do or have,
and
yeah.
and check with us and see and say, hey, do you already have this going on? And if not, maybe you can get in there and plan something, a fundraiser for your group or organization, church, school, whatever.
And you
come
be
down.
creative. You know,
Yes.
it's nice to have a diversity and all kinds of different things. So,
Yes,
Uh,
and so this is the time to be working on that.
Right.
Get it out there and start promoting, letting people know what you're going to be doing at Black Patch. So
that's awesome.
it'll be here before we know it.
It certainly will, and there is a lot of things going on. If you'd like to get in touch with the Optimist Club, of course, you can get in touch with George, and y'all meet from time to time. But a lot of those times are posted
On our
on the Facebook page,
yes.
which is Princeton Optimist. What is it?
Princeton Optimist Club, yeah. And we try to have it on the radio and
Yes.
the newspaper whenever we're going to meet.
Yep.
And so we're always looking for new members. We got some new members this year. We plan on putting them to work during Black Patch.
Oh yeah, and it's fun being down there last year, and it's a full day of
Yes.
of work, but it's very rewarding and it's good for our community. So,
Sure.
did we miss on anything else?
I think we about covered it.
Okay, well,
people about maybe their ears are tired of listening.
But it's good stuff. And the First Baptist Senior Adult Ministry, successful trip and more to come. So be watching and listening for that as well, for your opportunity to be a part of that.
One
that group.
thing that I will share that the people that went with us this year that wasn't members of First Baptist, they wanted to say thank you to our church, and I appreciate
Okay.
our church and their
Yes.
support and their flexibility on that, and just their support behind it, and the support of our staff and pastor,
Yeah.
and providing these. One thing I'll end with this story. One night during our devotion time, one of our ladies that is not a member of our church, she said, "Can I ask a question?" And I said, "Sure." She said, "Well, people of First Baptist, raise your hand. I don't even know who's members of First Baptist and who's not." And of course, everybody did. But what that did to me, that made me know that there was no difference in whoever was there. Everybody was the same, because this
yeah.
lady didn't even really know who was the First Baptist members, because it's not like, okay, First Baptist, you're the first on this. It's everybody's treated equal, and that's the way we want it to be.
Yeah, that's excellent.
And after our devotion times, I just kind of backed over to the side and watched. Sometime after our devotion times, people would stand around for 15, 20 minutes afterwards just talking and just communicating and fellowshipping. And a lot of churches, ours included, when the bells rang and the amen said, everybody's out the door.
Yeah, but
I know they was tired. They'd been going all day and been with this group of people, but they just stood around and chatted. And sometime it was 30 minutes after our playing things was over with, people just standing around talking, getting to know each other, and just loving on each other.
Was there a meeting area there at the condo
Yes.
where y'all could do that, kind of
Yes.
a banquet room or something?
Yes, we
Yeah,
had a meeting room. We was
Okay.
by ourselves. One night, coming out of it, I didn't hear this. One of our ladies was stopped by a gentleman in the lobby and said, "What y'all doing?" And she said, "Well, we're a church group, and we just had a devotion." And he said, "Really? Y'all are on a trip, a vacation-like
Yeah.
trip, and you had a devotion?" She said, "Oh, yeah, we do that every night." And he said, "That is neat. Do you mind maybe if I stop in tomorrow night?"
Oh, isn't that cool?
And I said, "Sure." Now, they didn't,
Yeah.
but
Offers there, isn't it?
but you always can reach people and make an impression on people by just the simple thing. I never thought about anybody paying any attention to what we was doing even.
Right.
But as that group of people started coming out of that room, they was looking and saying, "Hey, what's going on
What's
down
going on
there?"
in there? Yeah.
Yeah, wanting to know. So, but again, it's open to anyone who's willing to travel with us. We're glad to do it, and I appreciate you having me in to talk about it
Yeah,
today.
good stuff, George, and thanks to you. I'm sure those 51 folks are very appreciative of you and Benji, and you all you putting that together. That's work for you too. You put together that trip for the and that's a ministry for you. I know personally. So
It is, and a blessing.
yeah, no doubt about it. So thanks to you as well. Good show. We thank you for being
All
here,
right, Tony.
and That's George Kilgore, and boy, we about got an hour in. You believe in that?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's not hard to believe with us, but anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for the trip, and I hope everybody had a fantastic time. And if you're interested in that, do contact George or First Baptist Church, and check out their Facebook page. And be watching for the trips that are coming. There are several small trips coming up this summer, local trips, and if you want to be a part of that, and then maybe be on the lookout for some of the larger trips that are coming up, then do so. It's a great ministry, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a good way to network with folks. At 8:55, that's going to wrap up for Tiger Talk. For George Kilgore today, I'm Ty Englebright. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Join us tomorrow because we've got we got Caldwell County FFA. They just went to the state FFA convention. Good stuff. They racked up all kinds of goodies and awards. We're going to hear more about it. And so proud of our Caldwell County FFA chapter and what they've done. So tune in tomorrow for Tiger Talk and enjoy all the good stuff that the Caldwell County FFA chapter has been involved in lately. So that's at 8 o'clock in the morning. Until then, Ty Englebright, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening to Tiger Talk, your local source for information about your hometown. Tiger Talk has been brought to you by Tiger Talk, brought to you by Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street and Katie's Delicious Homemade Goodness and Perry's Floors and More on Market Street in Princeton.